diving deep into how the African Union just made a bold move, potentially shaking up the entire Western financial system by blocking a staggering $2 trillion in debt payments. We'll uncover why they did it, who this impacts most, and what the potential ripple effects could be for your investments and the global economy. Buckle up, because this is about to get interesting.
You're welcome to the Pulse of Africa community. I hope you're doing great today. If you're joining us for the first time, don't hesitate to like, share, and subscribe to stay informed and connected to Africa's most important news reports. Your engagements will help this video to reach more people. Thank you very much.
In this news report, we're diving deep into a massive financial story that involves a power play that could seriously reshape the global economy. We're talking about China essentially blocking $2 trillion in Western debt payments, demanding to be paid first. Now I know that sounds dramatic, but let's break down exactly what's happening, why it matters, and what it could mean for your wallet. The story revolves around something called sovereign debt restructuring, particularly in countries struggling with massive debt burdens, largely in the developing world. The bank might restructure your loan, lowering the interest rate or extending the repayment period. That's essentially what's happening with countries that owe huge sums of money to various lenders, including Western nations and China. However, China, now a major global creditor, is taking a different approach. In several recent debt restructuring negotiations, particularly involving African and Asian nations, China has been essentially saying, before these Western countries get their money back, we want ours. They're leveraging their position as a major lender to jump the queue. They might then refuse to participate in a collective restructuring agreement unless they are guaranteed priority repayment. This pay-us-first strategy is disrupting the traditional debt restructuring process, creating significant tensions with Western nations. Western countries often coordinate through groups like the Paris Club, an informal group of official creditors, to ensure fairer and more transparent restructuring agreements. China, however, is not a member of the Paris Club and often operates independently, prioritizing its own economic interests. This creates a situation where Western nations are forced to negotiate with China separately, potentially giving China significant leverage in shaping the terms of the restructuring. It all boils down to a growing frustration, a simmering anger that's finally boiled over. For decades, African nations have been saddled with debt, much of it stemming from loans taken out in the 70s and 80s, often under less than ideal circumstances. Imagine being forced to borrow money at exorbitant interest rates, funds often earmarked for projects that ultimately didn't benefit your people, or worse, were squandered through corruption and mismanagement. That's the reality for many African nations. Now let's be clear, some of this debt was used for genuine development projects, building infrastructure and investing in education and healthcare, but a significant portion was frankly a bad deal. Western creditors, primarily private banks and international institutions, are essentially holding Africa hostage with these debts. They argue that the conditions attached to these loans, often referred to as structural adjustment programs, have forced African nations to prioritize debt repayment over essential social services, contributing to poverty and inequality. These programs often mandated things like privatization of state-owned enterprises and cuts in public spending, which many African leaders believe crippled their economies. It has been the global economic turmoil of recent years. The COVID-19 pandemic, rising inflation, and the war in Ukraine have created a perfect storm of economic hardship for African nations. Their economies, often heavily reliant on exports of raw materials, have been hit hard by falling commodity prices and disruptions to global supply chains. Paying off these massive debts, particularly in dollars, has become increasingly difficult, almost impossible, while simultaneously trying to provide for their citizens and invest in their future. The AU's message is clear: we cannot continue to prioritize your debt payments when our people are struggling to survive. They argue that they should be allowed to use their limited resources to address pressing needs like food security, healthcare, and education. This isn't about shirking their responsibilities, they insist. It's about setting priorities. It's about building a future where Africa can thrive, not just survive under the weight of crippling debt, and they believe that their needs should come first. It's easy to dismiss it as government stuff, but understand that when countries restructure or default on debt, the repercussions often trickle down to individual citizens through inflation, currency devaluation, and increased cost of goods. Don't rely solely on Western concentric news outlets. Seek out alternative perspectives from different regions and sources. Understand that narratives are often shaped by political and economic interests. Recognizing potential biases helps you make more informed decisions. Exploring assets that traditionally hold their value during inflationary periods can be a prudent strategy. This could include commodities like precious metals, real estate, or even alternative investments. The goal is to protect your purchasing power as the value of your currency potentially fluctuates. Finally, stay informed and engaged, but don't panic. Doom scrolling will only increase your anxiety. Instead, focus on understanding the underlying trends and making thoughtful, informed decisions based on your individual circumstances. This AU debt situation is a symptom of a larger shift in the global power dynamic. By understanding these shifts and proactively preparing, you can position yourself to weather any potential economic storms. Remember, knowledge is power, and informed action is far more effective than reactive fear. AU just made a power play, blocking $2 trillion in Western debt payments, demanding they get paid first. This could reshape the global financial landscape as we know it. Now, what do you think about this bold move? Will it work? Is it justified? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this breakdown insightful and want to stay ahead of the curve on global finance and geopolitical shifts, smash that like button. Seriously, it helps get this information out to more people who need to know about it. And most importantly, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next critical update. The world is changing fast, and we'll be here to break it all down for you. Now, go tell your friends about this. Let's get the conversation started. So, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below, and until next time, stay informed.